All right, guys. This is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. And today is Friday, and I'm trying to disentangle some charger cable here for a second. What's going on? Pulling the wrong way. Got pretty tangled, but it's now almost fixed. No, it is fixed. Okay. Today we got, again, a lot of big news, which is pretty much the norm. I'm thinking about doing broadcasts at a different time. You might want to pray about that, or I can get a wider audience for the live stream. I don't know about this yet, but thoughts occurring to me, so might want to pray about that. I would probably do something in the evening, my time, which would be midday in America and evening in Europe. So today is the 18th of April. It's 10:17 in the morning, and I believe the rabbinical Talmudic Passover is over at sundown. We call it sundown. It's actually the Erev, the mixing of the day and the night, but that's when the shadows are long and you could still see somewhat, but it should be this evening. I believe that's the end of it. Now, they also have some cockamamie practice where people in other countries have the Passover or the Pesach for an additional day, but not in Israel. So Israel is basically going to be on holiday today. I think today is an observant day where they don't work, and for the government holiday. And then this evening we go into Shabbat, and then Sunday we bounce back to normal. I got some groceries delivered yesterday, and 16 items were omitted from the order. I think that's because they have a practice that I've never understood how they developed, where they have kosher food and then they have, well, I know in Yiddish you call it Pesadika. I don't know, there's no biblical term for it. It's kosher for Passover. So in other words, there's no leavened breadcrumbs that are on the food or something like this. I don't know. So probably a lot of the items I was ordering were meat, salad dressing, things like that, coffee, and they didn't come through. So I'm not going to want to order those on Sunday because I'm going to get the leftovers. So I think I'll put an order in and have it come on Monday or something like that. That's my guess, what I'm going to try to do. But I'm okay. I got pretty good stuff. I did go out and cook a frozen pizza last night. I put it in the oven, and it's like a turbo oven. It kind of blows the air around and stuff like that. And I didn't have it hot enough, and then I got it hot enough, and then I didn't have it high enough, and I left it. But it came out great. I don't understand. The pizzas here, frozen pizza used to be junk, but this thing was really good. It wasn't very big, so I ate half of it, and I put the other half in the fridge. I'll have it later. It was nice. I didn't even have to put anything on it. It came with a lot of stuff like what? I think it had olives and red pepper or bell pepper. I don't know. But anyway, so our temperature is going to be rather warm today. It's 79 degrees already, but the house is still cold. The house will get warmer today, and then it'll get warmer again the day after, and then it'll probably kind of warm up. So our low tonight will be 62. Last night I dozed off for a few hours, And I woke up, or I don't know, around 1 o'clock in the morning, and I went back to sleep. But I woke up because I fell asleep without a cover on, and the window was open a little bit, and it got pretty, pretty warm in here. Pretty cold, so that's what got me up. So then when I woke up this morning about 5, the covers fell off. If I remember correctly, yeah, I think they fell off. I don't remember. Anyway, I woke up, I was cold again. Yeah, they fell off. And then I had a, well, anyway, I put the heater on this morning because the room was so cold. So tomorrow we're going to hit 91, but the house, 91, 92 is usually our breaking point for air conditioning. But because the house is so cold, I highly doubt we'll need it. And then we drop down to 84 on Sunday, and the lows go to 59. And then we go to 82 on Monday with a low of 58. This is really unusual. And then we go from 82 to a high of 92, then a high of 95, then we go down to 85. I mean, and then a week from today, they're telling us the high will be 75. And, I've never seen weather like this, so I'm rather certain the Lord's doing something with the crops. Postponing the crops for the next great exodus is my opinion, and I'm not heavy duty in agriculture, but I live with a wife who does know a lot about it, and she thinks he's doing something with the crops. I've never seen weather like this before. It's highly irregular. So what we're going to cover today is a lot of important things, and now we're going to be shifting. We're going to cover a lot about Israel and the Middle East and Iran, but we're also, and Hamas, but we're also, and Yemen, but we're also going to talk about China, because China publicly admitted that they've been attacking American infrastructure, which would be electricity, water, things like transportation, cyber attacking it. They publicly admitted it. So why? We'll get into that. And now it comes out that China they're saying using satellites. I don't think they're using satellites. I think they're using ships, likely in the Middle East, or now the ships could be looking like merchant marine vessels, and they could be flagged from another country. And merchant marine vessels have radar. So these ships could have just very, very good radar. And how would you know it? Not easily. Or America may know it, or Israel may know it. But hold on a minute. I got some stupid pop-up on my iPad. I don't know why it came up. Let me see how I get rid of it. Oh, I see what the problem is. Let me get out of this. Okay. So, however China is doing it, they're giving target coordinates to the Houthis in Yemen to shoot at American warships and at Israel. So early this morning, Yemen fired a missile, the Houthis fired a ballistic missile at Israel, which they hadn't done in 3 days, because the Iranian warships left the area that were doing this, providing targeting information to the Houthis. And America scared the Iranian warships away a few days ago. So I think China put a warship in position, or a disguised vessel, or they were conducting drone or aircraft flights and picking up the coordinates. And they may have been guiding the missiles to target as well, which the Iranians were doing. And this it caused the Houthis to launch a missile at us early this morning, which was taken down already. It didn't cause any damage, but it sent people to the bomb shelters. Now, the Houthis are constantly saying they're hitting the warships of America in the region. Well, if every time they said they hit them, they actually hit them, these Navy warships would have been destroyed, 16 times over or something like that. The American warships are in the water below Saudi Arabia, and I don't think they're within range of the missiles that the Houthis have. So why is China doing this? We'll get into that. And Channel 12 News in Israel said that Israel is getting war plans together to do a strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities solo without America, because Trump did actually decline to attack Iran right now, said that he was more interested in negotiating than bombing. And 7 large cargo ships from America came into the Israeli Nevatim base in the south of Israel in the last 3 to 4 days. We just got another 2. So Trump is still bringing large container or cargo ships into the region, not just Israel. I think other places as well. So Trump is still staging for war, but is he really? Now, what leaked out through Iraq and other countries from their diplomats that spoke to Iran is shocking, and I haven't seen anybody pick this up. I got it out of Muslim Arab media, and I do not think it's false. It could be. They do a lot of false news, but I don't think so. And Iran came out with several preconditions for serious negotiations. And we'll go through those, and they're rather shocking. And yet here we see Witkoff and Trump and Hegseth saying, Iran got to destroy their nuclear facilities completely, like blow them up, disable them, cave them in, before we have any deal with them. And then we listen to what Iran is saying, and then we see Trump meeting with them through Witkoff again tomorrow in Oman, which is near the Persian Gulf. And we got to scratch our head and see what Trump's up to. And now the Saudis, I think yesterday, or was it the day before? Could have been the day before, went to Iran. The defense minister of Saudi Arabia went to Iran, met with, I believe, the foreign minister, that's the guy negotiating with America, and also had a meeting with the supreme Khomeini, the supreme leader, the Khomeini, the dictator of Iran. Okay? He met with him and brought a letter from the Saudi prince that runs the place to the guy. And we're going to talk about that, because that is going to be telling us a lot about Trump, because the Saudis are scared and they want to get better relations with Iran, who controls the Houthis in Yemen, who's got a border with them, to stop them from attacking their oil refineries, which they've done in the past year twice with success. And the Saudis had to rebuild. So this tells us mountains about how reliable Trump appears to the Saudis, and you better believe they got good intel. They got plenty of money to spread around. They got allies in Europe and other countries, So this situation is getting completely interesting, and I'm going to put Bible prophecy with this, and we're going to talk about where is China in Bible prophecy. Yes, it's in there. It's called Sinim, S-I-N-I-M, in Isaiah 49. And we're going to go through that, and I'm going to show you using multiple Bible prophecies together what's going to happen to China. Oh, it's doom and gloom, all right. But we're going to try to sequence this with other events too. Okay? And I'm the only one that gives you correct Bible prophecy with current events that I know of. And believe me, I wish there was 10,000 doing it. Now, we might get hit with trolls today, so if any of the mods are here, be on your toes, because I'm told, or I've heard, that when you put China in your title, you get hit with trolls from China. So actually, it's probably a good idea to drop in on the live stream and make sure we got a live stream going and see what's going on. And I'll do that now. And I'll put a couple of posts up. And we'll see what's cooking. And make sure we got a live stream. Well, we got sound and picture. Let's see if we're getting trolls. Someone says no answer. I don't know what you want me to answer. I don't even see a question. I do check the live stream. People sit here and accuse me of saying it's a live stream and it's not a live stream. You can't do that. If YouTube tells you it's live, it's live. Some people run live streams for 24 hours. I don't do that, but maybe you think it's that. Or some people just turn it on and show EAM messages and silly things. You know. Okay, I'm going to put a couple of quick posts up in the chat. And I do answer questions. You can put up prayer requests, toss requests, and we'll cover those and take care of them if you want. Put them up. Or you could email them to me. And I will put my email address up momentarily. And you could just email them to me with more privacy. I'm not going to be very long. First one's up. Are those teleprompter glasses? Yeah, I have $10,000 glasses, sure. They're polarized sunglasses. I'm in front of screens a lot, and it cuts the UV, the glare, the blue light, and other things. That's why I use them. Okay, I'm going to put my... Oh, I didn't see your question there. It says, if you put the question up and it was an offensive question, the mods would take it down. I don't know what you put up. But if it's a nice question, put it up. I'm getting my email address up now. That'll take a few seconds and we'll be done. Okay, I got everything done, I think. I'm not seeing the question come up. All right. Being a Bible-believing site, we're going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so the question is, where should we start? Let's start with China and the Houthis and helping them target American warships and Israel with their technology, which I think is in the form of ships. It could be in drones or aircraft. If they had satellites that could do this all around the world, like they say they do, I think they'd be helping Russia, who doesn't do so great with their targeting, but they don't do that bad either. But anyway, pouring myself some juice, tomato juice. So what this was, it was designed to send a warning to Trump. And Trump, not being a village idiot, far from being a village idiot, Trump is not the dullest pencil in the box or the dimmest light in the harbor. It's the opposite. Will know this, okay? Because if they can do this for the Houthis, who have had their radar shot out, blown up, obviously they can do it for the Iranians after Israel and America take out the radar that Iran has to protect themselves, right? So blowing the radar up, which America and or Israel can do easily in Iran, isn't going to help get Iran to stop targeting missiles. This is scaring Trump. Now, how is Trump dealing with this? Well, yesterday they hit an oil port, you would call it, that the Houthis control in Yemen. Yemen produces oil to the tune of about 49,000 barrels a day, which is not very much in the greater scheme of things. I believe it's controlled by the proper Yemen government, and they use it to supply oil products, gasoline, home heating oil, stuff like that, diesel, to their own country. In the greater scheme of things, they're not a big exporter. So other countries, who they are, I don't know, but we could speculate that at least it's going to include Iran, maybe Iraq and others, are bringing oil to the Houthis, and they use it and they sell it to get money. Maybe they trade it for other goods they need, I don't know. So that was a vital source of the Houthis to keep them going, because they were making money off this oil. So it was blown up to smithereens last night. Well, yeah, I think it was yesterday. And that's a bad blow to the Houthis. So the psychology or the war tactics of Trump in this encounter with the Chinese is likely, well, China can guide their missiles, great. So I could start attacking China warship or aircraft or whatever it is that's doing it, and I could start a big war with China, or I could be smart and just keep bombing the Houthi ammunition depots and their command centers, underground facilities, targeted assassinations, their communications, anything they have. Just keep bombing them and blowing them up. And then China could guide their missiles, but whoops, now the Houthis have no missiles. The flaw with this is China, Iran, and will keep bringing missiles into Yemen for the Houthis. That's the downside that Trump is hoping doesn't happen, but I can tell you it will. They'll come by ship or by air. Okay? And then the Chinese will guide them, and they will likely be more accurate with longer range. In other words, better missiles than what Yemen has now. So Trump's approach to this is not necessarily so good, but the alternative of starting a war with China isn't so good either. So Trump's going to take the lesser of two evils, which is if the Houthis shoot at the American warships and they're out of range, so what? You know, they're not hurting the ships, and Israel takes them down all the time. So what's the problem? We'll just every day keep bombing them till we wear them down. That's, I have to admit, reasonably sound thinking. If China and Russia and North Korea don't up the ante with lots of drones, lots of missiles, lots of this and that, I don't know what they'll do. Okay? Now, Saudi Arabia is scared that Trump is not a worthwhile ally that can be relied on. Now, America's had a reputation for years of abandoning allies and projects and stuff like that, like when they pulled out of Afghanistan and stuff like that, and the way Trump is dealing with Netanyahu. Saudi Arabia did not meet with Iran until they saw Trump reverse on his bomb Iran campaign to negotiate with Iran. So the Saudis are seeing Trump acting wishy-washy or weak as they see it, and they see Trump correctly as everything he's doing is for America and that's it. And he'll throw anybody under the bus, Israel or them. No, I think banking on Iran is a dumb idea. But you have to understand the royal families in these countries. They're a bunch of morons. Okay? Trump's not a moron. Biden was a moron. They're like Biden. Okay? The kid running Saudi Arabia is a grown-up now, but his father was the dictator of Saudi Arabia. I think they call him a king or something. They call the kid a prince. I think the father's still alive, but he's incompetent. He's very, very ill. And he can't do anything. Very old, very ill. So the Saudi kid, the prince, grew up with, a platinum spoon in his mouth. And, these are morons. They've lived in palaces with literally hundreds of servants. They live in their own country with political immunity and criminal immunity and civil immunity. Nothing can touch them. You can't sue them. You can't prosecute them. If somebody in the street flips them off, he can just tell the car to turn around, roll the window down, take a gun out and kill the person in broad daylight in front of 250 people and just drive away, and that's the end of that. Nothing comes of it. You can't, nothing, they don't normally do that. They would probably just have their secret police go pick the guy up and torture him and kill him or something quietly, but they do what they want, okay? They can run around their own country with the same power and immunity as Adolf Hitler did in Germany, okay? Or Attila the Hun or Napoleon. or any of these despot dictators, okay? And they have an over excess of everything. They've got so much money, they have the best of everything in the world. Anything, furniture, food, carpets, clothing, cars, planes, yachts, anything. In some countries, they have harems. I don't know if this character in Saudi Arabia does that or doesn't do it. They keep it quiet. We don't know much about him. Do you ever hear him talk much or anything? You know, he's the king of Jordan's another idiot. You know, they're this way. They're not what you might think they are. So the Saudis bring foreigners in to do their medical for them. A lot of British doctors, European doctors, because they don't have medical schools that would be worth anything. They might have medical schools for the common people, but not for the royal family. Okay? They don't understand engineering and agricultural engineering and things like that. They don't build their oil refineries and wells and all that. They bring in foreign workers that know how to do this, and they pay them rather well. And they let them live in Saudi Arabia in special neighborhoods, compounds almost. And they could, as long as they stay in that area, I believe they could have tobacco and alcohol, and I don't know if they could have pork or not. I have no idea. But and these people run the oil business, and they build everything and maintain it and keep it going, not the Saudi people. They also hire foreign military, ex-military, I should say, to be mercenaries and work in their military. These are people that are grossly incompetent. And this particular idiot running Saudi Arabia knows that he's no match in a war with Iran and her proxies. He can't hold up. They preferred in years past with the king of Saudi Arabia to use America to protect them, which means you got to do what America tells you, which the Saudis are doing. But as far as I know, the Saudis are still, for months now, not selling oil for euros or US dollars. They probably make the people convert to the Saudi currency and buy it that way. They're not in BRICS. They declined to go into BRICS. They probably now will go into BRICS. So the Saudis saw Trump reverse on Netanyahu when Netanyahu was in the White House some days ago. And the Saudi guy freaked out. He says, well, Trump will do that to me. He'll lead me on, and then he's just going to make a turn for his own country and leave me in the lurch. He doesn't care about me. So he went running over to Iran, and Iran took him in with open arms. And he's trying to play with them. Now, what would he be talking about with Iran? They don't need his oil. They got a ton of it themselves. They don't need his natural gas. They don't need his weapons. He doesn't have good weapons. They don't need his companionship and fellowship. They're not even the same kind of Muslim. Iran is Shiite and Saudi is a Sunni Muslim. Now they don't need to trade together. You think Saudi Arabia needs Iranian pistachio nuts? And what do they got in Saudi Arabia that Iran would need? Nothing. Iran is trying to build a caliphate run by the supreme leader of Iran, who would call himself the Caliph, but they're far away from anything like that. And Saudi follows Sharia law very much similar to Iran. They're not completely overboard, but they're borderline overboard. And, the coverings for the woman, the big black cloths that cover them up in their face with just eye slits. And they do that in Saudi too. So what's going on is Iran's looking for allies in the region, and Saudi's looking at it this way. America ain't going to attack Saudi Arabia or bomb Saudi Arabia. I could balance that enough, I think. But what he's thinking is, Iran, Yemen, and Iraq attack me, I'm finished. So what is Iran going to want from Saudi Arabia? Well, they're going to want them to go in BRICS. They're going to want them to turn against America, not want to sell anything and get paid in US dollars and all that sort of stuff. And, become friendly with the Houthis and be friendly with Iran openly and publicly, so America loses face. And that's what I think happened. This prince guy in Saudi Arabia is just scared to death of Trump and being left in the lurch. So he went to make some sort of deal with Iran. He didn't do it yet, but I think he opened the door, and from what I could tell, Iran was welcoming him. So now that things went well, I think the next move will be in the coming weeks. The Saudi prince will go up to meet the supreme leader of Iran and kiss the ring, so to speak. And he'll be, treated as a friend and an ally and stuff like that. Saudis thinking as if they could get Yemen, the Houthis in Yemen off their back, Iran off their back, they could go back to, driving around in gold-plated Rolls Royces and floating around on yachts and having harems and just going about their business as billionaires. It ain't going to work, but that's their position, I think. So he hasn't completely gone away from America. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And Trump has already lost face. Now, the Saudis could be doing this as a negotiating ploy with Trump. Seriously, to get Trump scared. And then Witkoff quietly goes to Saudi Arabia and says, okay, what's wrong? What do we got to do to fix this? And then the prince tells him what needs to happen, and then Trump does it. But that is not likely. Why? Because his premise that Trump might abandon anybody for the sake of American interests is real. And he's afraid to do that because he plays into that game. And then Iran's going to get very angry and upset that he used them to negotiate a deal with Trump. And the pressure on him from the Houthis in Yemen and Iran and Iraq and the other proxies is going to be intensified. And Saudi Arabia is going to have a lot of problems. Are the Saudis dumb enough to not see that? It's entirely possible, to be honest with you, but I think they know that. I think they've danced with Trump long enough. And when they saw Trump tell Netanyahu when he was in the White House, no, we're going to negotiate with Iran, he said, oh my gosh, he'll do that to me. He'll lead me on and drop me like a hot potato. Would Iran do that to him? No, they probably wouldn't. But what the heck? Iran is Iran's on the endangered species list in world events and in Bible prophecy in Jeremiah 49. They're about to be devastated. They don't know it, but they're going down. And they're going to be a junk heap. But they're destroyed by enemies, plural, in Jeremiah 49. They're called Elam back then. The word IRAN doesn't appear in the Bible anywhere. Okay? So they're going to get it. Okay? By enemies in the plural. So this brings me to Israel doing a solo attack on Iran, which Channel 12 News in Israel said they were preparing and strategizing and getting ready to do it. So the big question is, do we think that Netanyahu and Israel are going to do a solo attack on Iran with or without the consent of America? Well, there's not that many moving parts to analyze this. There's just a few, okay? The first thing is they're talking about Israel's going to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. Oh, really? With what? Israel has no planes that it could use to bring 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrating bombs, or MOAB, mother of all bombs, to bear on the targets in Iran. We don't have B-1, B-2, B-52 bombers. They'd have to put it in a cargo plane and parachute the thing out of the cargo plane and then guide it to target. Could they do that? Yeah, they could do it. But the cargo planes, like a C-17 or something, have no stealth capability. They're sitting ducks. They're large targets, not like a fighter jet. They're not fast. They don't break the sound barrier. They are jets, but they don't break the sound barrier. So how do you protect this thing from the Iranian missile defense systems or their air defense systems? Well, you got to blow their air defense systems up. Well, how do you do that when a lot of their air defense systems are on mobile platforms? Trucks with a sort of lowboy on the back that has one or two missile launchers that are converted from surface-to-surface missile to surface-to-air, and they're deadly. And the trucks have radar on them. It's a short-range radar. How does Israel take them out? How do you take a mobile missile launcher out when it's in a different position? Every day it's going into different postures. It doesn't stay in the same place. In addition, when they're not at super high alert, they can put it under trees, put camouflage nets over it, put it inside a building, put it in an underground facility. It doesn't need to be much more than a parking lot that has a few levels underground. How do you take them out? And they got quite a few of them. Well, I don't know how you take them out. I don't think America knows how you take them out. Okay? So this whole theory of Israel doing a solo attack on Iran I don't think it's realistic. Does that mean Netanyahu won't do it? No, he might do it. He's reckless with the fate of Israel, okay? He is. As if he doesn't care, but that's a speculative comment. Does he put Israel in positions where we take a lot of missiles and stuff? I think he does. And I would say there's at least 1 million Israelis that would think he does this too. He's not a liked person in Israel so much. Some do like him. A lot of Israel does, and a lot of Israel doesn't. I am one of the ones that doesn't like him. He was one of the main proponents, or a big one, of giving Gaza back to the Muslim terrorists. Netanyahu was all for that. What was it, 2008, I think? Yet the Israelis forgive him. But what's been done once can be done again. He can make some big mistakes that Israel has to pay a lot for. Not fun thoughts. So, what is Netanyahu going to do? Fly over there and drop 2,000-pound or 3,000-pound bombs on the nuclear facilities? It won't do any good. He'd have to, for one facility, okay, if he was using 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs and he dropped 35 on one nuclear facility, does he have a good chance of it being disabled? Yeah. A great chance? No. A chance, substantial chance. But it wouldn't be destroyed. It would be rebuildable, probably. But if he does that, here's the problem, guys. You got to take the radar out first. That's a job Israel can do. But while they start doing that, the 12 missile cities, they say they have 12, that are built into the sides of mountains with massive rocks, hundreds of feet of rock stuff on top of them. They build them in a natural cave and then go down. They're not going to be destroyed. So the Iranians are going to be launching missiles at Israel. Now, what if the Chinese or the Russians have warships over there, which they have a very small amount of, start guiding those missiles and drones to target? What happens is the missiles and drones wind up flying towards the target, and we got to do takedowns. And if it's a big swarm, we lose and we get hits. Do I think it makes any kind of sense that Netanyahu is going to try this? No, I don't think he's going to try it on his own. I don't think Netanyahu is going to hit it Iran by himself. Refueling tankers, target packages, hitting lots of radar, getting the mobile radar, and then attacking the missile cities built into the sides of mountains. Israel can't handle that. And we're going to take a massive amount of missiles. But what else is going to happen is Iran is going to try to put a wedge between Israel and America and attack American bases and oil refineries in the Middle East, because they're going to see the attack coming and they're saying, oh, Trump's using Israel to do the front attack, and then he's going to follow up when we join in the counterattack. Sorry, technical issue with a pop-up. So, Israel starts bombing Iran, attacking Iran. Iran's going to think America's in on it. Why would they think America's not in on it? I couldn't give you a single reason. So they're going to attack the American military bases in the region. They're going to attack the oil refineries in the region, causing oil prices to go to, I would say, at least 200 a barrel. Chaos in the world. And if Israel does that, Trump would likely tell Israel they're not going to do anything to help them. It's just not a good idea. The chances of Israel prevailing are minimal in terms of success in the mission. Okay. Now they're saying Israel's going to fly commandos in or bring commandos in on the ground to finish off the nuclear facilities. Iran has a big military, a big police, and they have militia in the millions, like 3-6 million or something. You'd think they're not going to have any personnel near these nuclear facilities, at least the access roads. Okay, they'll parachute in. So the planes will be bombing the nuclear facilities, and then when the troops exit the planes and hit the silk and the parachutes, okay, then they'll stop the bombing. All right, so now let's say they even take a lot of large weapons and put them on pallets and parachute them down with the soldiers. Maybe even some vehicles are parachuted in. To 5 nuclear facilities, I think the paratroopers would get shot once their chutes open. Well, they can use, a low altitude opening. True. And they can go in at night and use night vision goggles. That's true too. That would mitigate it tremendously. But the planes they jump out of are not stealth, so you still have to solve the radar problem with the mobile artillery. Do you see the magnitude of the problem here? It's very, very difficult for America to pull this off. They may not even be able to. And Trump may have realized this. It may not be solvable. What is solvable is this. Ignore the nuclear facilities, okay? Ignore the missile cities, because anything you do is going to cause them to start launching, and you're not going to take them out built in the sides of big rocky mountains in Iran in 12 different locations. So you concentrate on doing what? You take out the Iranian ports and piers for oil. That ends their economy. Their economy goes screeching halt, throw the anchors out. That's the end of their economy. That is it. It's finished. Okay? Temporarily, but temporarily, if you do it right, it could be months. Okay? Take their pipelines out for oil and natural gas, another major blow, right? Take out their electrical grid, take out their water, take out key bridges, key railroad tracks, terminals, overpasses, airports, attack their ships in the water, which Israel can do, strip them of their navy, okay? And then leave and watch for the collapse. That's how I think it's going to happen. They're going to make the place inhabitable, just like Jeremiah 49. If you attack the nuclear facilities, will the place be uninhabitable? No, quite habitable. If you attack the 12 missile cities, would that make the place uninhabitable? No, not at all. If you attack their ships with the drone ships and the missile launching boats, would that make their country uninhabitable? No. If you hit their oil refineries and ports and piers and pipelines, will that make the country uninhabitable? It's a major step in the direction because their economy goes whoop. What you would do in one afternoon of strikes is destroy 80 to 90% of their economy, their inflow of money to the country. Oh, but the Iranians pay income tax. Yeah, they pay it in Iranian rial, garbage currency, worthless junk. They need to have foreign currency payments for oil. Getting paid in Iranian rial doesn't help the country. So my take on Israel attacking them on its own is, I don't think you'll see it. You'll hear Netanyahu speak of it, but I don't think you're going to see it. It's a dumb thing. What you got to do first is hit the radar. You got to hit their ships. You got to hit the mobile radar. Then you got to hit the missile cities. Then, because the missile cities can hit American bases and oil refineries all over the Middle East, Then you hit the nuclear facilities after you disabled them. I'll be back in a minute. So the whole thing of Netanyahu doing a single attack on Iran is silly. It doesn't meet prophecy, and I don't think it'll happen. Quite a few months ago, Israel hit the Iranian nuclear facilities, but not really. They hit the radar protecting, the radar running the anti-missile systems protecting the nuclear facilities to scare Iran. They didn't damage any of the nuclear facilities. I don't know how they could. They're far underground. So this is a likely propaganda to scare Iran. Or maybe Netanyahu's actually really thinking about it, but when he gets into the nitty-gritty, I think he'll back out of it. It's rather silly. Let me check the live stream. And I'll see if I have any questions in here. What difference what my age is? Why would you ask a thing like that? What's the point? What about BRICS? Saudi Arabia, by the way, is not in BRICS. The UAE is in BRICS, but not Saudi Arabia. Thank you to the mods for keeping the place clean. I don't have to put a lot of attention in there. So Trump is likely perturbed about the Saudi Arabia situation, and he's going to counter Saudi Arabia. Rest assured. Okay, let's get into some other things here. First, we got the prayer requests, which are very important. It's a big thing we do. The first request is for Jay-Z, Jack Zebra, Jay-Z, Jack Zebra, Jay-Z. prayer request is that this person, Jay-Z, stops online gambling and pays their debts. For Jay-Z, stops online gambling and pays their debts. Next prayer request is for AB, Alpha Bravo. AB, Alpha Bravo. That this person would learn and understand from a certain believer that their behavior is against the scriptures and stop. I'll repeat. For AB, Alpha Bravo, prayer request is that this person, AB, would learn and understand from a certain believer that their behavior is against the scriptures and why, and stop doing it. Next, NE, Normandy Echo, NE, Normandy Echo, NE. General healing for NE has several issues. General healing is the prayer request for NE. VF, Victor Foxtrot, VF, Victor Foxtrot. General healing and rapid recovery from a medical procedure, no pain or infection. I'll repeat. For VF, Victor Foxtrot, general healing and rapid recovery from a medical procedure, no pain or infection. Okay. Now we have a request for whole enchilada, endless salad tossings for the following people. EC, Echo Charlie. I'm sorry, you got that wrong. Let's call it EJ, Echo Juliet. EJ, Echo Juliet. JK, Juliet Kilo. JK, Juliet Kilo. NM, Normandy Mike. NM, Normandy Mike. And EM, Echo Mike. So I'll repeat. Endless salad, whole enchilada job for EJ, for EJ, JK, NM, and EM. It's a hard one. It's best to make these a little bit easier for the people, but our people are pretty good and they'll go to work on this. Okay. Let me get into my notes and we'll get into the other issues. Trump put sanctions on the Yemen International Bank in Yemen. This is the bank that works with the Houthis, so undoubtedly Iran and other people sending them money, and I'm sure there's other people, other oil countries, are now on sanctions, and people that do business with this bank in the wrong way or whatever can get sanctioned as well. So this is undoubtedly going to hinder the Houthis economically. No doubt about it. So we had several days, 3 or 4 days without any missiles coming from the Houthis in Yemen. And then we read China is giving targeting packages of the American warships to the Houthis. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, the Houthis launched a ballistic missile at Israel. So China is doing this. And this is getting released for a reason that remains to be seen exactly why, but we'll find out. Trump is putting a not so lightweight and not so serious economic demand on Israel. There's a lot of American companies that come to Israel and invest in Israel. And one of the conditions that Israel lets them come in is, of course, they want them hiring Israelis as much as possible. And they want them buying products that they need from inside Israel. And Trump basically, I think, wants that loosened up so these companies can buy products from America because they're American companies in Israel, not just exclusively from Israel. This could cost Israel some billions of dollars in business, but we'll see how this goes. It's not the end of the world. Israel can comply if they have to. As a lot of you know, Germany is giving all kinds of weapons to Ukraine again. And in this flow of weapons, Ukraine, they're going to give them Taurus missiles, which have a range of 300 miles, which is a little more than 100 miles more than anything they have now. And Russia said that if Germany does do that and Ukraine uses them against Russia, Russia will consider Germany having entered the war. I think it's just another red line speech from Putin, and he's likely to do nothing about it except threaten. We had a 5.8 quake near Chile. The letter the Saudi prince sent to the Iranians said, "We are convinced that the relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia is beneficial to both sides, and it is possible for the parties to complement each other," whatever that means. By giving this targeting information to the Houthis to hit Israel, is of course China going after Israel too. Trump's approach to the situation is, a reasonably sound, conservative approach, but it's not going to work. China's going to get a workaround by giving better weapons to the Houthis, and that's the problem. So the demands that the Iranians are imposing on America that are pretty much pre-negotiation demands. Hang on a second, I just got a problem here. I think I fixed it. Is they want a very fast relief from the sanctions America placed on Iran. Now, that's it's coming out as if it's a precondition to serious negotiations. So Iran smells weakness in Trump. And he's saying, well, you want to negotiate with us, you got to do it in good faith. Relieve us of the sanctions. And they also said, we want you to relieve China of the punishment sanctions you're putting on them for buying our oil, which is really tied to, sanction relief as well. And China also wants to get the money back that the Americans froze in bank accounts around the world, which is billions and billions of dollars. So they want the money back, they want relief from the sanctions, and they want pressure off Chinese entities buying Iranian oil. That means they're in economic trouble, they want relief, and then they're going to continue funding their proxies and driving everybody crazy. And that doesn't mean if Trump did all these things, it doesn't mean that there's going to be a decent nuclear treaty. This is before a treaty gets signed. Okay? And what kind of treaty they're willing to sign is likely going to be a joke. And Trump is still going, or sending Witkoff to the meeting tomorrow in Oman with the Iranians that are going to be done in separate rooms. Again. And that's why a lot of people are getting disgusted with Trump. I'll be right back. getting too hot for a sweatshirt. So, what Trump's never going to do is get out in front of this. What does that mean? He's not going to get out there and say, listen, before I was elected, I told you there could be as many as 30 million illegals in the United States. That's a fact. He said it, and I believe him. And he said 60 to 70% of those are single military-age males coming from terrorist organizations, China and other countries that are aggressive towards us. And they are very likely sleeper agents. And if we start up with Iran and China, they may get activated. I haven't gotten but a couple 100,000 illegals out of the United States so far. And we could have real chaos in this country. In addition, we don't have any technology that's going to stop the Iranian missile cities from destroying the oil refineries and the military bases and the ports and the piers in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, with the help of Iraq and the Houthis in Yemen. And that will cause oil prices to conservatively go to $120, $150, not conservatively $200 or $300 a barrel, will cause economic chaos around the world, which will be very difficult to overcome. Although we have enough oil to supply the Americans, then we would have to cut our allies off. In addition, I don't think our bombs would destroy the missile cities, let alone the underground nuclear facilities. And we would probably lose soldiers on the bases. Ships might get attacked and hit. He's never going to tell you this. Okay? Never. I read yesterday that Trump's going to build an iron dome, call it the Gold Dome in America. And guess who's likely going to be the one that will be awarded the contract to build it? Just take a wild guess. How about his initials are EM? How about he's involved with the DOGE program? That's right. Elon Musk is going to get this multi-billion-dollar contract. Do you see the conflict of interest what's going on here? People in America don't see this. What does Elon Musk know about building weapon systems? He'll just come to Israel to get the advice as to how to do it, which Israel will give him gladly. But, that's, don't you see it? There's a conflict of interest with these billionaires. So the situation with China is getting rather bad. They're taking credit for the cyber attacks on America infrastructure, transportation, electricity, water, which is a threat that we're going to keep it up and enhance it. And now they just started giving target packages to the Houthis because Iran dropped out. Iran said, if I keep my warships there, they'll sink them. So China said, I'll send some warships over there. They won't sink those. And that's probably really what happened. Okay? Not satellites. All right? That's it. China had some warships, 3 or 4, very small amount, in the Indian Ocean area near the Sea of Oman, where the American ships are, not very far from there. So it probably took them 2 or 3 days to move from there up into the Red Sea. And they probably went relatively high up in the Red Sea, or halfway or something like that, to be able to get the target packages to Yemen, the Houthis. Now, the American warships are under Saudi Arabia in the Arabian Sea, so they might have other warships, which they do, in the Indian Ocean that could be targeting those ships. I did not hear of any damage to the American ships. The Muslim media is stating that they did fire at the American ships, and they always say they hit them. But I know they fired at Israel because we picked it up and did a takedown. And they couldn't do that for at least 3 or 4 days because the Iranian ships left. So Trump doesn't tell you these things. Okay? Let me take a look at how we're doing in the live stream. My mods, I think, are right on point, and I thank them greatly for helping. If any of you want a prayer request, just put it in the chat and I'll pick it up and we'll pray for you. But you got to ask for it. So let's talk about China and Bible prophecy. Where does it pop up? It pops up in, what was it? Isaiah or Jeremiah? Hold on a minute. Isaiah 49, verse 12. But you know what we're going to do? Since Isaiah 49 is such a great chapter, we're going to go through all of Isaiah 49, and it's highly relevant to what we're going through today. Okay, so here we go. This is the only place that China pops up in prophecy. And it's not called China, it's called Sinim. That is China. Okay, Isaiah 49, verse 1. Listen, O isles. What are the isles or the islands? North, South, Central America. Because they're not attached to the rest of the world. That's why he calls them that. That's my opinion. It would also include the Caribbean. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people from far. So it's not like talking about Cyprus or places that are close. People from far, far from Israel, okay? The word for far is harak. Okay. Jehovah hath called me from the womb. Remember, he was born of a woman, Yeshua. From the bowels of my mother, Miriam, who they call Mary in English, hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. Remember in Revelation 19, when he's coming back to earth, he talks about a double-edged sword coming out of his mouth. That's this. It's based on this. So it's the same thing, really. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hid me. Well, he was hidden quite a bit in the Old Testament, right? Hath he hid me and made me a polished shaft in his quiver, a polished arrow, which would fly better, more accurately, and so forth. A polished shaft in his quiver hath he hid me in the quiver. But when is God going to unhid him, so to speak? Well, to a great extent he did when Yeshua came on earth, of course. And now that the 2,000 years of Hosea 6, 1 and 2 is up, he's going to appear seated at the right hand of God the Father in the clouds, Matthew 24, 30, Revelation 1, 7, and so forth. Okay. I just saw now they're beginning to teach Hosea 6, 1 and 2, but they're twisting it. I've been teaching it for years, and what happens when I teach it, people in the church world hear it, and then they go back to pastor, and they say, what does this mean? So over the years, enough people must have gone to their pastors that now they're starting to come out with a false gospel counter to it. And they're saying, does Hosea 6, 1 and 2 tell us the timing of the rapture? It's not the rapture, but they don't know any better. But that's how they roll. So now I'm in verse 3. And said unto me, thou my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. And the word for glorified is par or par. Is that really that accurate? He'll take glory in the Israel he's going to build, maybe is what it means, or something, or Israel will glorify him. Yeah, it's all right. It doesn't go into English easily. It's okay. Let's move on. Verse 4. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Jehovah and my work with my God, my Elohim. I think this is Yeshua talking. And now saith Jehovah, that formed me from the womb to be his servant. Now, remember, he was born not of a male human, but of the Holy Spirit and an earthly woman. So he was formed in the womb. Was not a regular. That's why it's called the only begotten Son. He was the only one begotten this way of the Holy Spirit and a woman. It never happens again. To be his servant, to bring Yaakov again, with Jacob, the 12 tribes, to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Jehovah, and my Elohim, my God, shall be my strength. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. Remember that, because a lot of us are weak. In a lot of ways, you could be weak. Okay, verse 6. And he said, it is a light thing that there should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Yaakov and to restore the preserved of Israel. Now, this is speaking of Yeshua's appearing. Now, to raise up, we need to look at that word, okay? It's Strong's number 6965. It's kum. And it can mean arise. It's not a rapture word let's see what Strong's does with it. He's the best of them. Not that he's super great, but he's better than the others. To abide, to rise, be clearer, continue. It's not a rapture word, okay? See, when the lost tribes see him, they also get changed and come to Israel. They get the everlasting life too. That's the day that it's in the beginning of redemption, and the people, the lost ones are woken up. And all the true believers in Yeshua are a participant in that, and they are in the true Israel. and to restore, to raise up the tribes of Yaakov. That should be Mishpucha. Let's check. No, Shebet. They don't have this correctly translated. This is a branch or a rod. So it's really talking about not the tribes of rod, but it means the tribes in a sense too. Of Israel, I will okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. We got to get there. There's a lot of translation issues here. To restore the preserved. Okay, we got to go to that word restore. And it does not mean restore. The word is shuv, and it means to return or come back. See, they don't have it right. Not to restore, but come back. Where? To Israel. Come back to Israel. The preserved, not seer. It's kind of remnant, or the delivered, or the ones that are delivered, the ones that see Yeshua and respond, the reserved remnant, you could say, I guess, in a way, of Israel. I will also, it's not the remnant word though, preserved in Israel, I will also give thee for a light to the heathen, that the goyim, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Well, we got some issues with the translation here. And that word salvation, what it says in the Hebrew text is Yeshua. Now let's read it, okay? That's his name. His name's not Jesus. There's no J in the Hebrew alphabet, okay? Thou mayest be, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 words for one Hebrew word. See how hard it is? You could say become. Okay, so let's use that way. One word. No, I lost my place. Okay. That thou mayest be. So become, and then it says Yeshua, which would really mean the giver or provider or source of salvation, something like that. It doesn't go into English that greatly. Unto, that word is odd. Means not exactly that. As far, it would mean as far as the end of the earth. So Yeshua is for the whole earth, not just Israel. Okay, but when you're in Yeshua, you're in Israel. You become his brethren, and he's from Judah. Okay, now I'm in verse 7. It's good, isn't it? Thus saith, the word is actually Yeshua here. See, this is one, and it appears like this many times, so it's one of the many reasons the church world changed his name to Jesus, which is a word that means nothing in Hebrew. But Yeshua means a lot, And there's no J in the Hebrew alphabet. Father God, Jehovah's name cannot be Jehovah. There's no J. And it's not Yahweh, it's Jehovah. Yahweh doesn't mean anything. Thus saith Jehovah, the Redeemer of Israel. Okay? And the word for Redeemer is Gaal, actually. Gaal Yisrael, Redeemer of Israel. That makes me think of the year of redemption, which is coming any day now. And his holy, remember the year of redemption uses the Shanat word, not Shanat. Now this time you're going to really like it because it means, like Shanat is you shall take a lamb of the first year. Okay. So is a lamb of 3 months of the first year? No, it's less than a year old, right? Okay. So when a lamb hits, 360 days, the biblical year, he's of the first year, or 361 or whatever, right? Okay. But when he hits the second year, which would be like 720 or 721 days, then he's no longer the first year. He would be in the second year. Okay. So the baby animals aren't supposed to be sacrificed. They're supposed to spend time with their mother and stuff like that. Okay. And grow up and have a little bit of a life anyway. So it's between, you know, after they're a year old, but before they're 2 years old. So the year of recompenses is that way too. He told me we're in recompenses in August 10, 2023. So we could theoretically run till early August, or very late July, because there's extra days in the Gregorian calendar. They have 5 extra days, but so maybe the end of July would be more appropriate, something like that. But that's when we would go into year 2. We'd no longer be into the Shanat. It would be years, plural. So the same with redemption years. So that's going to give us, I don't know how long it'll be, but it'd be at least a year, and that would it could be longer, many months. So that gives us a extra time for everybody to get over here and the great Exodus. You got to understand that. And other things that happen then too. And now it means we're waiting longer, which is hard on all of us, believe me. All right, unto the end of the earth. So I think I'm in verse 7. Thus saith Jehovah, Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despiseth, so that's speaking of Yeshua HaMashiach, to him whom the nation, the heathen, abhorreth, that means the heathen hates, to a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes. Now that arise word is kum, again, to just rise. It doesn't mean they're going up to heaven. Kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship because of Jehovah, that is faithful and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee. Verse 8, Isaiah 49, verse 8. Thus saith Jehovah, in an acceptable time have I heard the acceptable time. And in a day of salvation, what the heck is he talking about? I can tell you. Acceptable time. We go to Isaiah 61. First 3 verses. The spirit, the Ruach of Jehovah, of Adonai Jehovah, the spirit of Adonai Jehovah, the Lord God, is upon me. This is Yeshua talking. It's also quoted in the New Testament. Because Jehovah hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He had sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives. We're going to talk about that. And the opening of the prison to them that are bound. We're going to talk about that too. And it's not talking about San Quentin and Alcatraz. Verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year. Wow, how about that? And the word for year, let's look that up for a minute. I want to check this. The word for year in the text here is shanat. Okay? Just like I told you. And it can't be a Jubilee year because a Jubilee year is definitely a 360-day year. It's not a shanat. Okay? Because it has implications with the crops, and the Jubilee year is preceded by a sabbatical year, and then after the year's over, you have crops left over that carry you over. So it's a 360-day year. But this is a shanat. And where was I in verse 2? To proclaim the acceptable year. So it's the year of redemption is what this is talking about for sure, because of the use of shanat instead of shanat. I know a lot of you don't know Hebrew, so I'm trying to bring it in. To proclaim the acceptable year of Jehovah and the day of vengeance of our God. The day of vengeance would be the close of the year of recompenses, payback, which we're in now, of our God, to comfort all that mourn. Well, that's taking us to Zechariah 12, verses like 10 through 14 or 13, something like that, where you see the mourning for the one whom they have pierced, Yeshua. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, that's Zechariah 12, to give unto them beauty for ashes. When they mourn, they throw ashes on themselves. When they see the sign of the Son of Man, the miraculous appearing in the clouds, not the return to earth yet, the appearing in the clouds, they realize that they've been blaspheming him, cursing him, shunning him, rejecting him, and he's actually their real Messiah, and they mourn for them killing him and what they did, and one of the things they'll do is throw ashes on themselves. Okay? So beauty for ashes, this thing jumped on me. iPads are good and bad. So where am I in verse 3? Okay, so we get beauty for ashes, oil of joy for mourning. That would probably be olive oil, anointing oil. Let's see what the word is. Shemen, it means oil. It would typically mean olive oil. It's not, 40 weight, oil for a car or anything like that. Okay. Oil of joy, not car oil, for mourning. The garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. See, they'll rip their clothes too as part of mourning, that they might be called trees of righteousness. That would take us to Romans 11 with the grafting in. The planting of Jehovah, that he might be glorified because of the righteousness of Israel. And they shall build the old waste places. See, this is redemption. They shall raise up the former desolations. They shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. This is not done yet. Okay, let's go back to, and it also says, and strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. This is redemption. Okay. Now we go back to Isaiah 49, and I got to figure out what verse I was in, maybe 7, I think. No, it was in 8. Thus saith Jehovah, in an acceptable time have I heard thee. See, that's when he turns his face towards us and he hears our prayers, he hears us. And in a day but if you're a believer, he hears you. And in a day of salvation, and that's Yeshua, and that's the day he appears. Have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee, and give thee for a covenant, a covenant of the people to establish the earth, to cause to inherit it could mean the land, as in the land of Israel, instead of the earth. I think that's what it means here. The word Eretz or high Eretz can mean the earth or the land. So you got to look at context. I'm just checking to make sure we got live stream. So to cause to inherit the desolate heritages, that thou mayest say to the prisoners, go forth, to them that are in darkness. Remember, we read about the prisoners. So I'm going to open that for you in a minute, a few seconds. Show yourselves, they shall feed in the way, and their pastures shall be in all the high places. These are your dry bones. Remember when Yeshua, when they killed him, he went in the earth to preach, to stay there for 3 days? Well, he went to the Israelites that were in the bad place over there, and he also led captivity captive. So he took the ones that were in the good place, Abraham's bosom, up to heaven, as I understand it. And the ones that are in the bad place, where it was very dry and there's no water and it's hot, they got to stay there till he appears in the clouds, and then they're going to come back. And you see, they get built back together. The bones come together. They get cartilage. They get flesh and everything, breath. He puts the spirit in them, and then they come to Israel. And it says, so that thou mayest say to the prisoners, go forth, to them that are in darkness, show yourselves. Okay, it's obviously dark there. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall, well, they thirst where they are now, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. This is found in Zechariah 9 again. What verse? Maybe 7? Let's see. Here it is, this verse 11, Zechariah 9:11. As for thee also, by the blood of the covenant. Well, when they have a circumcision, they're entering into a covenant with God and they bleed, don't they? Sure. I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. This is the parable with the beggar that died. He was hanging out in front of the rich man's gates, and the dogs would lick his wounds. They both died. The beggar went to Abraham's bosom. The rich guy went to the bad place, was crying across an unpassable valley or chasm to Father Abraham to send the beggar back to him to dip his finger in water and put it on his tongue because it was so hot there. And Abraham said, nobody can pass across. As for thee also, by the blood of thy covenant, see, this is because God blinded their eyes and stopped up their ears. So he punishes them. So they got to spend a long time in this place, many of them, many not so long. But then they come back to life and they come to Israel. They have a flesh body, they have everlasting life, but they don't have immortality, not yet. Nobody really does, except Yeshua, until you get into New Jerusalem. As for thee also, by the blood of thy covenant, I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. That's the pit. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render unto you double. I will render double unto you. That's the double portion we get. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to Isaiah 49. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Raised up, I guess exalted is brought up, raised up, something like that. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north, and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Now, there's China, the land of Sinim. That's China. So that means there's lost tribes in China, or not lost tribes, or both. And that means that China is going to get destroyed in Jeremiah 30, verse 11, where he says he will destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over time, is what it means. And the same verse, or very, very similar, appears in Jeremiah 46, verse 28. He will destroy all the nations he scattered the Israelites into. So now we know they were scattered into China. So China can play their little game right now, but we know how they end. The Israelites and the true believers in China will get out in the next great exodus, and the country will be destroyed. Not all the people killed, but the country will be destroyed. That's the reality. Verse 13. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth. And break forth into singing, O mountains, for Jehovah hath comforted his people. and will have mercy upon his afflicted. That's speaking of Israel. But Sion said, Jehovah hath forsaken me, and my Lord hath forgotten me. That means dry parched place. So it's basically Israel before redemption, you could say. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste, thy destroyers and they that made thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thy eyes round about, and behold. Lift up thy eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith Jehovah, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all as an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride. So they become our inheritance. For thy waste and thy desolate places and the land of thy destruction shall even now be too narrow by reason of inhabitants, and they that swallow thee up shall be far away. The children which thou shalt have after thou hast lost the others, or lost others, shall say again in thy ears, the place is too straight for me. Verse 21, then shalt thou say in thy heart, who hath begotten me? These, seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro. That's the diaspora. And who hath brought these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where have they been? Thus saith Jehovah Elohim, behold, or Adonai Jehovah, sorry. Behold, I will lift up my hand to the Goyim and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and they shall behold, I will lift up my hand to the heathen and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in thy arms, and thy daughters shall be carried in their shoulders. This, I believe, is speaking to the dry bones, And the people alive today scattered around the world are the sons and daughters of the dry bones. Many generations removed, perhaps, but still that way. And King, when the beggar went to the good place with Abraham's bosom, he's referring to his father Abraham, the beggar, the rich guy too. And Abraham was the father, but many generations removed. So that's how the Bible speaks. Verse 23, and kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face towards the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet, and thou shalt know that I am Jehovah. When this happens, the Jews are going to figure it out. They're all, for sure. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Now, this applies to us, all of us. Those that wait on the Lord will not be disappointed, is another scripture. So we've been waiting, and the waiting is hard. And the times are very trying, but you will not be disappointed. You will be elated with joy, guaranteed. Jehovah knows how to make you joyful, and it's not going to be a slow, gradual 6 months or a year. It's going to be like, boom, joyful. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? He's talking about our rotten enemies that surround us. But thus saith Jehovah, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away. That's the return of the Israelites to the land. And the prey of the terrible shall be delivered, for I will contend. In other words, I'm going to fight with him that fights with you, contendeth with, fights with you. And I will save thy children. Probably speaking to the children of the dry bones, and the two witnesses play a mighty role in this. In Zechariah 12, verse 6, they burn up the enemies surrounding Israel. You should read it, Zechariah 12, verse 6. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh. Now, what's happening to them, and I'm telling you this in the literal, is going to be what happened to Israel in 70 AD. They were cooking their own children and eating them. And this is going to happen again with the heathen this time. And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, Jehovah, Ani Jehovah, am thy Savior. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's check that word for Savior. Where did my Hebrew Bible go? There it is. Let me get that for a second. This is Mashiach, that I am your anointed Mashiach. All right. So he's saying that you're going to know he's your Messiah. So I believe it's Yeshua talking to us here. Um, and I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that Jehovah Messiah and thy Redeemer. It means the anointed, but I don't know, they got it messed up here in the translation. Salvation, I guess it could mean salvation. Yeah, it could have a meaning of salvation here, because that's what Yeshua's name has as a meaning. So I guess rather than Savior, that it's really kind of saying, Ani Yehovah, your salvation, and your Redeemer, because that's Jehovah, not Yeshua. The Mighty One of Yaakov. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Any more detailed information about China and prophecy we don't have. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this. And China may, before they get it, they probably are going to have a very active role in the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, America. Okay, that's what it's looking like very clearly. So that's what I got for today. I hope you got something out of it. So I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife for our peace, safety, protection, joy, and healing of our ancient bodies. Pray for our finances and pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues, that they be happy, healthy, and whole. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and pray for better videos with more insights into prophecy and the Bible like we had today. Nobody else is teaching this. I mean, it's knowledge that's available. They know that Sinem is China. Okay, but they didn't put it together for you with prophecy like I did. And tooting my own horn. Well, I'm just trying to show you that you want the truth in the Bible, not the other gospel and the other Jesus and the other spirit. You're welcome to come here. It's all free. So I send my Shabbat Shalom, because it's going to be Shabbat in Israel in a few hours. So I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. Thank you. Thank you, moderators. Much appreciated. I'm out.